Survivor Series 2023 is this Saturday in front of what promises to be a very loud and a very vocal Chicago crowd. It's a small card with only 5 matches, but it is a card with a ton of names here. But there's also a lot of major key names missing, which we're going to talk about. So today I'm going to give you my predictions on who I think is going to win every single match at this year's Survivor Series Wargames. And hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan. I know you're gonna fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And if you're looking for some friends to watch Survivor Series Wargames 2023 with, look no further than twitch.tv/SantiZap. We're gonna be live streaming the show as a community there, so if you want some friends to be able to geek out about wrestling throughout the show, come on over. The link is in the description, twitch.tv/SantiZap. All right, let's jump into the predictions. Actually, before we jump into things, I want to talk about Survivor Series as a PLE because this is supposed to be a Big 4 PLE. If you don't know what a Big 4 PLE, that's WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, and Survivor Series. These are the 4 biggest events of the WWE calendar year. And if you were thinking that Survivor Series doesn't feel like a Big 4 PLE, especially when you compare it to SummerSlam, to the Royal Rumble, and to WrestleMania, I don't think that you're crazy because I don't think that Survivor Series feels like a Big 4 PLE anymore. One of the biggest glaring flaws with Survivor Series this year is that neither of the world titles on the men's side is being defended. The World Heavyweight Championship is not being defended, and neither is the Undisputed Universal Championship. Hell, it goes even worse because the Undisputed Universal Champion isn't even there. One of the biggest WWE superstars at the moment right now, one of the greatest of all time in his prime, isn't on the show. He can't even make time for this show. How can we say that this is a Big 4 PLE? There's also the Bloodline, the biggest faction in WWE history, arguably, and right now the biggest babyface in the WWE. LA Knight is also not on this show, so it's a tough sell to try and tell people that this is a Big 4 PLE. Frankly, if I'm being honest with you, Money in the Bank is a more consequential WWE PLE than Survivor Series is, because Money in the Bank actually creates consequences that affect WWE storytelling for the rest of the year. Survivor Series, for the most part, doesn't. So yes, this is my official petition to excommunicate Survivor Series from being a Big 4 PLE, and let's bring in Money in the Bank, baby. All right, that's enough of my boomer rant. Let's jump into the predictions. Let's start things off with Carlito versus Santos Escobar, a battle for the soul of the LWO, it seems. This is a match that seems a little bit rushed in terms of the creation of it, but it still makes a tremendous amount of sense to have this at a big PLE. The reason why it feels rushed is because the feud between Carlito and Santos doesn't quite feel cooked yet. I feel like the proper feud for a major show like this is Rey Mysterio versus Santos. Obviously, Rey Mysterio is out with injury, so Carlito has to step up. I just don't feel, what I'm trying to say is that there is enough between them yet to really be able to justify a major PLE match. Still, I'm here for it, and I think it's going to be a great match. It's kind of wild that I'm looking at a Carlito versus Santos Escobar match, and Carlito isn't the bad guy on this. And I'm totally cool with that because Santos Escobar has evolved into a fantastic heel, a heel that I actually want to pay attention to, somebody with a proper motivation, somebody with a character, somebody that actually connects with the audience. I love what they've done with Santos Escobar, and this is something that he has desperately needed ever since he came up to the main roster. Carlito, on the other hand, still feels like he's trying to find his footing on the main roster, so I just don't see a world where Carlito halts the momentum of Santos Escobar, a momentum that has been honestly very much needed for somebody like Santos, so we need him to continue this role. I think that this is going to be a great back and forth match. I could see this going anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes because there's only 5 matches on this card, but I just want to see a technical showcase of Lucha Libre and the new strength that Carlito brings to the wrestling game, because there's just so much more to tell about this Santos Escobar story. The fact that he's the young up and comer and Carlito is the veteran here. I'm going to take Santos Escobar to take the W here so that he can continue this rise. Hey, this video is brought to you by the patrons over at patreon.com/SantiZap. If you want even more wrestling content, more than what you're already getting here on this channel, make sure to check out patreon.com/SantiZap. You're going to get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early. You're going to get get the monthly Q&As. You're going to get every Monday Night Raw review, every Friday Night SmackDown review. In fact, as of the making of this video, as you're watching this, the most recent review of Monday Night Raw is already up. Go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZap, where you can get even more wrestling content. Thank you for helping keep the lights on and the mics on. Back to the video. Next up, let's look at Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark for the Women's World Championship. I think this has potential to be a very fun match. However, I feel like there isn't too much at stake because I don't think that Rhea Ripley's championship reign is in any way, shape, or form in danger because of Zoe Stark. Big shout out to the WWE for not giving up on Zoe Stark, because she was somebody that at the beginning was kind of struggling to find her footing in the main roster, but they really have found an identity for her, an identity of being one of the badasses of Monday Night Raw, and I do think that she is justified to be in this position right now. So the problem, however, isn't with Zoe Stark, it's really just with the entirety of the Raw women's division and how it's been booked, because none of the women on Monday Night Raw feel like credible contenders to Rhea Ripley at the moment. In fact, I think the only one that is a credible threat to Rhea Ripley is Becky Lynch, and they're doing everything in their power to keep Becky Lynch away from Rhea Ripley. Like, it's kind of obvious what they're doing. It's likely going to lead to Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, and until we get to that, I don't think that Rhea Ripley's title is in any way, shape, or form in danger from anybody. But that doesn't have to change the fact that this can be a really fun match, a really strong showcase for Zoe Stark. I think that this is going to be not necessarily a make or break for Zoe Stark, but this could be the match that helps cement her as a perennial main eventer in the women's division moving forward. And with people out right now like Alexa Bliss, like Liv Morgan, there is a spot near that top echelon, in that top mid card, in that main event scene that needs to be filled. And if Zoe Stark wants to be in that spot for the rest of her career, I think she needs to show up in this match. And I think that she's going to. I don't think that this is going to be a squash match. I think that this is going to be very competitive. From a storyline perspective, I think that they've done a really great job of making Zoe Stark not feel like some sort of side quest for Rhea Ripley, because with everything that's going on with the Judgment Day, it would have been really easy to see Zoe Stark as just this kind of road bump for Rhea Ripley. But they've done a great job at making you think that Zoe Stark is one of those women that is bad enough at taking out Rhea Ripley. But realistically, I still don't think that's the case. I'm taking Rhea Ripley in a fairly competitive match, though. Next up, we have, what a treat, Gunther actually on a PLE. We have Gunther taking on The Miz for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. This has been a fantastic build, a storyline of The Miz demanding respect from somebody like Gunther, and Gunther refusing to give respect to The Miz because they come from two entirely different worlds. The Miz is an entertainer, meanwhile Gunther is a ring general, and when it comes to personalities, they do not mix in any way, shape, or form, yet at the same time, they are both in the same conversation for the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. I loved what they've done with The Miz. They've made him a sympathetic babyface without changing his character. He is still a dastardly piece of crap, somebody that is still willing to cheat to win, somebody that's still willing to say the really mean things, all while still connecting with the audience and having the audience back him up. And none of this has felt super ham-fisted, kind of like MJF and the whole "I'm your scumbag" thing. Look, I still love MJF, but it's getting a little out of hand over there. Anyways, I digress. I don't know why AEW's taking some stray shots in a Survivor Series video, but The Miz fundamentally has not changed as a character, and yet the crowd has 360'd on him. That's how you do a heel to face, but still a heel turn. That's how you do it. On the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, I really love what Gunther and The Miz put together, this promo where Gunther is the bully, bullying Mike Mizanin, the guy that got bullied in school for liking wrestling characters like the Ultimate Warrior, like Macho Man Randy Savage, the guy that then went to the WWE to become those guys and then got bullied again by those very same guys that he idolized. And now here he is, a perennial Hall of Famer, a main eventer, somebody who's been in WrestleMania, somebody who's beaten John Cena at WrestleMania, still getting bullied by the ring general Gunther. I loved what they've done here. And at no moment has Miz felt incompetent. At no moment has Miz felt too weak week to take out Gunther. Let's not forget, this is one of the greatest intercontinental champions of all time, The Miz, who is taking on another greatest of all time in the same category in Gunther. This is a big matchup and arguably Gunther's biggest match to date. Okay, I take that back. I think like the Sheamus stuff and Drew McIntyre stuff is bigger, but I think that this is huge in terms of cementing Gunther as not just this one-trick pony in the ring, somebody who's only good in the ring. This feud has really elevated Gunther as a heel character and mic worker. Hell, this is the first feud where I've really seen Gunther play the crowd, and he's done a really great job. Miz is just so good at getting the best out of people when it comes to character work, and he's done that again with Gunther. Still, I think that Gunther is winning this. I think it's going to be clean. I don't think that Imperium gets involved, but I think that there's going to be a lot of close counts. I think that Miz is going to hit a skull-crushing finale, and it's going to look like he's going to win, and it's going to be the 2.99999 kick out from Gunther, and I do believe that Gunther is going to end up winning this and continuing this title reign until at the very minimum the Royal Rumble. Before we jump into the Survivor Series War Games matches, let's talk about Shinsuke Nakamura. There's nothing that's been confirmed, but to me, at the very least, when I look at the clues, it looks like Shinsuke Nakamura might interrupt the show and demand an open challenge. He might demand that the person that he's been talking to cryptically these last couple of weeks come out and face him. And because they've already announced Randy Orton as the 5th member, I do think that if this does happen, if Nakamura calls out this mystery opponent, that it could be CM Punk. Now that we know that that mystery opponent for sure is not Randy Orton, I think there's a strong possibility that if that open challenge does happen, that we could be here. Look at my eyes. What do you see? The cult of personality. I know, I'm the songbird of our generation. Look, I'm not saying that I'm predicting that CM Punk is going to show up. I'm just saying, if X, then Y. If Nakamura does an open challenge and calls out a mystery opponent, then CM Punk is coming out. That's all I'm saying. Do not take this as gospel as me saying that CM Punk is coming back, but it feels like it needs to be addressed, and it feels like I need to hedge my bet and just talk about it a little bit. Let's go to the Women's War Games match. We have Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Shotzi for some reason, versus the newly reformed Damage Control and Bayley, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky. And look, when I look at the names that are on here, these are legends, except Shotzi. No disrespect to Shotzi, she's still just so early on in her career, but when I look at this as a wrestling fan that kind of understands nuances and clues and contextual cues, I think that Shotzi's just there to take the pin. And again, I don't mean any disrespect to Shotzi, but she's in there with Hall of Famers, man, and she just isn't there in her career at this moment. I think that she's just there for fodder and there to take a clean pin from Damage Control, because I do believe that Damage Control not only is going to win this, but mark my words, needs to win this, because for the last year, Damage Control has just been fodder for the exact women that they're going up against. They've been fed to Bianca, to Charlotte, and to Becky Lynch at some point or another, and I think it's time to make it stop. It's time to stop the bleeding, and it's time to treat Damage Control like the greatest women's faction in WWE history, because they are, on paper, with the names that are on there, the people that they just added, they need to be treated like absolute royalty. And I think that this is the first time where you gotta stamp it, you gotta laminate it, you gotta sign, seal it, and deliver it, and truly just execute on Damage Control finally becoming a dominant faction in the WWE. Because when I look at the baby faces, Bianca Belair doesn't need this. Charlotte Flair doesn't need this. Shotzi doesn't deserve this. Not yet, at least. And Becky Lynch doesn't need this. She definitely doesn't need this. This is just a side quest for her. The people that need this are Damage Control, and they need it bad. If they lose, all momentum will just fizzle away out of existence. So because I'm so adamant that Damage Control has to win this match, I'm giving this one the Santi seal of approval. You want to gamble your house on something? This is the match that you gamble your house on. Gamble your house on Damage Control winning this, okay? They have to. Now with with Wargames, I have to pick out who's going to get the pin and who's going to take the loss. I've already alluded to it. I think it's going to be Shotzi that takes the pin for the baby faces. In terms of the heels, I could very well see this being Io Sky. I think it's a very simple formula. Have the champion look strong and have the person that is not as popular and not as over as Shotzi be the one to take the pin. I think this is a really easy call here. All right, let's look now at the men's Wargames match with Team Cody Rhodes comprising of Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and a returning Randy Orton. I hear voices in my head. They come from me. They understand. Okay, real quick, without Googling it, that theme song, does it say they counsel me or they comfort me or they talk to me? What? I never really know the lyrics to Randy's theme. And they're going to be taking on Team Judgment Day, comprising of Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and of course, Drew McIntyre. What I will say is that I hope that this is a proper blow off so that we never see the combination of Judgment Day, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn matches on Monday Night Raw ever again. It's been 3 months of that, and this needs to be the payoff. No more. Let's have new matches, new feuds on Monday Night Raw after this, pretty please. Dude, this is just such a stacked Wargames match in terms of the star power. This isn't even to include the fact that most likely Rhea Ripley is going to get herself involved in this match too. I think it's a really easy pick to just say the baby faces are winning this because Randy Orton is coming back, but I think a lot of people are just thinking too one-dimensionally. I don't think that Randy Orton comes back to help them. I think Randy Orton comes back and before the match ends, he screws over Cody Rhodes. Maybe not even just Cody Rhodes. Maybe he screws over anyone else on that team. Maybe he screws over Seth Rollins setting up a World Heavyweight Championship program. Maybe he screws over Jey Uso because there's still some unfinished bloodline business there. But I think what makes the most sense coming out of all of this, like when I'm trying to be Nostradamus and predict the future after the smoke has settled from this match, the feud that makes the most sense isn't Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. It's Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, and they just happen to be on the same team, and I think we need to find a way to make those guys clash. And I think that making everybody believe that Randy Orton is coming back as a good guy and having him turn on Cody Rhodes before the end of the match, I think that's the way to do it. And you're in front of the right crowd to make a heel turn like this work. Chicago will eat this up. Plus, when I look at the heel side, like Drew McIntyre has found this momentum that could very easily be turned off, but I don't think that they're gonna want to do that because I think that he is still going to continue to be the foil to Seth Rollins. I think inevitably he is going to be a World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think that you want to halt the momentum of Judgment Day either. So look, this is crazy because I'm realizing now that up to this point, I've picked all of the heels to win, and I'm going to pick the heels to win here as well. I just don't see Randy Orton playing nicely with everybody here. I think he turns on him. So because of that, I'm taking the Judgment Day to walk out of here, going 5 for 5 with the heels. The heels are going to carry Survivor Series because Triple H doesn't know how to book good baby faces. All right, that's my predictions. This is your time to sound off. Am I completely off here? Who do you have winning this? What do you think is going to happen with the whole Shinsuke Nakamura thing? Does Randy Orton turn like I think? Let me know. Okay, I'm done. Get out of here.